Welcome, everybody. My name is Aida Farhat, and I am your host today. We bring you a powerful roundtable discussion featuring four courageous women: Penny Bradley, Olivia James, Susan Long, and Christy Campbell. Each of these remarkable guests has walked the path of remembrance through the Secret Space Program and MILAB experiences, bringing forth deep insight into covert operations, multidimensional realities, and the awakening of the divine feminine warrior. Together, we'll explore truth, healing, and the reclaiming of sovereignty as hidden histories rise into the light and the feminine spirit stands in full power. And we will begin our each guest. And we will start with Miss Penny Bradley. So I'll add Penny to the stage. Where are you, Penny? Okay. Add to the stage. Okay. Our first guest. Hi, Penny. Welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
We are happy to have you. Our first guest is a true pioneer in the SSP disclosure. Penny Bradley is a respected researcher and experiencer who has courageously shared her memories from the Secret Space Program, detailing covert missions, cloning, multidimensional warfare. Through her extensive work, Penny brings clarity to complex hidden operations and helps others navigate their own awakening and integration process. Welcome, Penny. Thank you for being here. Okay. And then Miss Olivia James. Welcome, Olivia.
Hello.
Our next guest, Miss Olivia James, is an author, experiencer, and truth seeker who has spoken out about her time in MILAB programs and the use of trauma-based mind control. Her writings explore psychic warfare, consciousness, manipulation, and spiritual recovery, offering a profound bridge between the human experience and the higher soul awareness. Olivia's courage to speak truth has inspired many to reclaim their power and divine remembrance. Welcome, Olivia.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Okay, and our next guest, Miss Susan Long. Welcome, Susan.
Thank you.
Okay, joining us, Miss Susan Long, a gifted healer and founder of Divine Connections, who blends her intuitive gifts with higher dimensional awareness to assist others on their path of remembrance and healing. Through her own SSP experiences and awakening journey, Susan embodies the rise of the divine feminine, helping others transmute trauma into light and restore balance within the human and cosmic template. Thank you for being here. And last but not least, Miss Christy. There she is.
Hey, everybody.
Welcome, Christy. Our final guest, Christy Campbell, known as the CC33, is a Karuna Reiki master, spiritual guide, and experiencer who channels divine frequencies to support deep soul healing and integration. Through her awakening to MILAB and multidimensional memories, Christy has dedicated her life to helping others reconnect to their divine blueprint and stand fully in their sovereignty as awakened beings of light. Ladies, welcome all of you. I'm super pleased to have everyone here today. This is going to be a powerful show. I'm really going to be like sitting back and kind of listening to everybody. And I would like to start it with Penny. If you could just share a little bit about yourself and your work and what you do. And then we will, accordingly move on to Olivia and Chrissy and Susan. Okay.
What do? I have a podcast where I am documenting the disclosure movement. And I try to filter where these are people that I'm pretty sure are real experiencers and not LARPers. And I also filter to make sure that they're actually safe. I do background checks on all of my guests, which I know that's not that's not a popular idea, but there's people out there who have done things they shouldn't be on air. And most of what I do, other than the podcast, is a lot of people reach out to me with memories. And they want to talk. And most of these people have never had someone sit and listen to them before. They've never been heard. I blanked on his name. He's now dead. He was a Buddhist monk, and he talked about something he called compassionate listening. Now, I'm not a licensed counselor. I can't charge legally in California because I'm not licensed. What I offer is compassionate listening / peer counseling. So I haven't been listening to a lot of people that come to me with, well, I dreamed this and I dreamed this and I dreamed this. They have to be at the stage where they are taking responsibility that these are memories or flashbacks. Until they get to that stage, I can't help them. They're just like consciousness dumping. And I'm 70 years old now, and that's when I've started making the restrictions. It's I don't have the energy that I did when I came public 9 years ago. And I've had 5 murder attempts in the last 2 months. And I've had psychics contact me and say, I was watching you during this time and you died and regenerated. And all I'm thinking is, why were you invading my privacy? You know.
Right.
And I'm getting some really strange reactions from the people that did watch and witness. And I want to make it clear to everybody, I'm not a goddess. I'm a human hybrid, and I'm like 99% human. So don't expect me to do things that you wouldn't expect Joe Blow on the street to be able to do. So
we appreciate that statement for sure, Penny. I think there's a lot of unfortunately, and the new age movement, if you want to call it that, there's just so much sensationalizing and misinformation and ego driven, whatever you want to call it. And, you know, I fell into that for a short while, right? Because of my own awakening and realizing the DNA that I hold. But I snapped out of it pretty quickly. Do you want to shadow work? We'll do that.
Shadow work is probably the most important thing for all of us to be doing at this time in history. All of us need to do our own shadow work, because until we do that, we're going to project it onto other people, and whatever we really need to work on, we're going to see it in everybody around us, whether it's really there or not.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody around us can see what we're doing wrong.
Well,
we may have blinders on, but the whole world sees.
Absolutely. Shadow work is a must for me, and I hold my friends accountable to it. You know, I mention things and have discussions, and I have a good group of women that I'm able to we can help one another with our own.
That helps.
Yeah. Yep. All right. So let's move to Olivia. Olivia, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself briefly and your work? And then we'll move to Susan and Christy.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Olivia, and I was in the various programs, and I use my psionic abilities to try to obtain information for the world. And I primarily focus that on my writing and trying to get it out in writing or in a short video form for people to be able to access the information.
Thank you, Olivia. Thank you. Susan?
Hi, I'm Susan Long. When people say they had their awakening, I came in awake. I didn't realize, that I was different from other people till I was 9, and I thought that was my psychic medium ability, but I can also remote view and bilocate. And I used these abilities while I was a police officer and detective. I would have precog dreams, and they see me glowing. I'm a hybrid. I'm a Lyran. I'm a descendant of the Tuathanan. And I'm also a dragon bloodline. And for the last 15 years, I've been in my Crohn's stage as the peaceful warrior and a healer. And here where I am in Iowa now, it seems like I'm still getting all the people that are now adults that were abused as children, and I have to be a witness with my remote viewing. It's like, oh, I saw you, and your mom smacked you and said that didn't happen. You have to be there and see things for people to use your abilities the correct way. Because these abilities, you can use them to help and to harm, and it's my mission to use them to help other people that are going through this. And I don't want people to be suicidal or go off the deep end when they're having these memories.
Thank you. Thank you, Susan. Chrissy?
Hey everybody, I'm Christy Campbell, and I've been doing the card readings to help people with the SSP memories, MILAB memories, and through doing those readings, I've made books over. It's kind of inspired me to write more books over alien abduction, and since the conference, I've made 16 of my art books, and then I've made my Electra books, which talk about my experiences, so I've made 3 of those, talk about MILAB, SSP, and then Montauk. So I wanted to get my information out in this way with pictures. It's like a presentation so people can see, and a lot of people are just waking up, so it helps them to see some more information on it other than just reading a whole book. It's hard for me to read a whole book like that, real thick book. My mind just kind of wanders, so I made them short and with pictures. That kind of helps me to stay focused and on track with stuff like that. But I made these books to help me get my information out there, like standing truth in my truth, and then also to help others as well. But yeah, I do the readings, and have found too that a lot of people have had the alien abduction in childhood, but their memories erased, So I made a book of that just yesterday. I finished writing that. So through that, I'm kind of helping people. So that's how I'm working with that. And I'm a Karuna Reiki master. So it kind of seeps out with the symbols come out through the doing the readings and everything too, and through speaking. So yeah, that's what I do. Kind of a variety of things, really.
Thank you, Christy. All of you, I admire each and every one of you for your unique gifts of being able to assist people during their process of remembrance. Now, I am not by no means dismissing or wanting to minimize the trauma that men have gone through, but today this show is particular to women being used in the SSP. And I have my own memories. I will be presenting for the first time with Penny's also going to be presenting in the UK via satellite, I believe. And I will be there physically on stage for the first time. So I want to give a shout out to Miles Johnson and the International Full Disclosure Conference. If you're able to join us, please do. There's an amazing lineup. Drago Reed, Penny Bradley, Brad Olson, myself, Dr. Amir Jahangari will be there. So I just wanted to give a little shout out, but
helps.
I'm sorry. Yes, and Julie Felt. That's
Julie
right.
Phelps.
I mean, there's so many amazing. Yeah.
She could easily have been on this panel as well. She was an RAF super soldier on Mars.
Well, maybe next time, possibly we could do a part 2 and 3 and have some ladies join. If you guys want to send me on Messenger who you recommend, and I'll be glad to reach out to them and see if they want to join us for a part 2. But now I want to move into Penny. If you don't mind, we'll move into some questions and kind of get the conversation going. And I have so Penny, you've spoken openly about your time in the Secret Space program and the complex process of soul fragmentation and
reintegration.
Yes, you got it. Thank you.
That word.
How did your journey toward remembrance begin, and what have you discovered about your multidimensional aspects through that healing process?
And you want that in under 5 minutes. Okay.
If you could just give us a brief,
I had nightmares, flashbacks about things my whole life. So in 2013, an NSA agent used my remember code from when I was first mind fractured as a child. And I think he expected it to pull up an altar because he kept repeating it over and over and over and over and over. It didn't pull up an altar. It pulled up the altar's memories. And the memories were all in Schwabisch instead of English or Standard German. So Schwabisch is basically hillbilly German. It's not considered high class, and they don't want to hear it if you're speaking. And I've had to work on relearning German to be able to understand what was in the memories. And in the short term, I did a tremendous amount of research to figure out what I was remembering. I ran across Michael Ralph and his website. I ran across Randy Kramer, and between the two of them, I figured out it was Mars that I was on. And it took me 3 years to go through the whole process before I came public, because these memories were not in English. They weren't on Earth. They didn't make sense. I had missing faces. It was clear someone had modified my memories to take out the faces. So I couldn't remember names. And I have that problem on Earth too. In my here and now life, I have trouble remembering faces and names. And people will come up to me at a conference and say, well, I was at such and such and such and such. Don't you remember me? Well, I can't. It's like a hole in my brain. But once I figured out what I was remembering, and I tested everything for cover memories. So I use a self-hypnosis process where I would take myself under and tell my subconscious, open the curtains and show me what really happened. And so I remember what the cover memories are, but I also know what really happened. And it's I will say bluntly, if you think you were a hero in space, you're having cover memories. You really need to pull those curtains back and look deeper, because none of us did anything heroic out there. We may have been heroic in our own, like defending our team, but what we were doing out there, we were invading other places and taking their resources and killing their people. That's not heroic. And so I had to deal with the guilt of things that I had done out there, because as you reintegrate these altars, they become you. And so whatever they have done is now in your memory, and you have to live with it. Mm. So I tell people, are you sure you want to do this? Are you sure you want to remember this? Are you sure you want to talk about this on air? Because the internet never forgets. You know, and once you've gone public speaking about these things, you have trouble getting a job, you get hassle from your family. There are some countries that they will take your kids away from you because you're suddenly not stable enough to be allowed to have your children.
Right.
That's a real problem for people who live in Australia. Just so you know, that's why we don't have a lot of people from Australia speaking. But every country that has nuclear weapons has a space program. Mm-hmm. They are included in the overall space program. And that's why we have so many little countries developing nuclear weapons. They want to be part of the space program because it's seen as long-term survival. And, you know, we all know what's going on Earth. It's a really stressful time. And these people want their people to survive. And I don't blame them. But that's why they're working so hard to get nuclear weapons in some of these countries. So there's a lot going on. My memory process has been difficult. I would get to a certain point and hit a brick wall. And then I would get a regression from somebody about a specific problem, and some memory would come creeping through. When I first heard Olivia James's story, and she came on my show several times, she's an honored guest, and the thing that haunted me was her description of how her father had turned her over to these people. Yeah. And so the last two conferences I've been at, in, you know, full disclosure now, I had regression sessions with Drago Reed. Mm-hmm. And the question of, did my father do the same thing, was what I was looking for. And because her experience haunted me so badly, I had to know, you know, was there a foundation for this? And it turned out that yes, there was, that my father had known that I was being taken. My father had arranged for it to keep himself out of jail. And he was so mortified by how different I was when I first came back that he tried to abandon me when I was 12. And my mother said no. So yeah, you get all of this stuff gets dredged up as you're remembering. And I tell people flat out, you don't have memories. You just have this vague, I don't know. Count your blessings and move on with your life. Period.
Yeah.
Because this remembering, knowing your family betrayed you, mm-hmm. This is hell on earth. And you go public, and if I had $1 for every time somebody called me a demon, I could buy a house in California. There has been no upside to this. No, I'm not an ego. I was a slave for every time they've taken me. I'm unable to effectively stop them from taking me. They tell me that they own me like a truck and they're going to drive their truck when they damn well please.
Mm.
This is my life. What have I got to be arrogant about? What have I got to be an ego about? I have what used to be called Asperger's, which means I'm truth-oriented. Truth. If I have a guiding principle, it's telling the truth. And so when I was invited to headline a conference and everybody suddenly decided to call me a liar, that was really harsh. That was really, really harsh. That was taking the one thing that truly matters to me and flipping it into an insult. And I'm not, if I thought I could leave this community without the CIA killing me, I would. That's how harsh it has been.
I'm sorry, Penny. So many of us see you as a pillar of strength in so many ways, and your courage is just amazing. I mean, I don't know who did that. I hope that wasn't at the Full Disclosure Conference. I don't know if that's what you're referring to, but you know, my thing is, and I'll be saying it when I go on stage for the first time, it's not about, you know, whether you believe it or not doesn't make it true, or doesn't make it not true, right? So people don't have to believe my story. It is true to me, and I have confirmation from different sources to be able to help me know, because I'm like you. I've never been diagnosed Asperger, but I am absolutely somebody about that runs on integrity and truth, being truthful. I have no interest in sensationalized. You never heard me, you know, claim to be out on anywhere in the. I believe my I have some memory of doing some battle, right? And I'm thinking it was in the astral, but I'm confident through working with Dr. Amir and others. And I came to this realization myself. So, because I often have heard you say, well, if you have somebody reading for you and they're telling you what you experience, right? I listen to you, Penny. I listen to you. Yeah. But this is the thing.
I've had to undo some of the stuff that people were told, because what they were told is not physically possible. And we are not in astral when we are doing SSP. We are in 3D reality. So the laws of physics.
Well, that I may have it a little. I just remember. I'm not going to get into my story because y'all are here. But my point is that I will never claim anything that I don't have recall. And if somebody does tell me something about the things I'm sharing with them, I only go with what resonates, and I know what they're sharing has to be a truth because of what my memory, right? And that's it. I don't try to make it more than what it is, or I'm sorry.
If it doesn't make sense happening on Earth, it doesn't make sense happening in SSP either. Right. Yes, we do have psionic abilities and technology there that we don't hear.
Yeah.
I know I had a firewall on my psi abilities that I had to overcome. Randy Kramer was who I reached out to. I said, how do I get rid of this firewall? Because he was teaching a psionics class at a conference we were at together. And he told me flat out, repeat like a mantra, there is no firewall. There is no firewall. There is no firewall. It took 2 years, but it worked.
That's awesome. Maybe I'll have to try. I don't know if I have a firewall or not, but I don't have the memories I have what I know I remember, right? Yeah. Of being used in particularly trauma-based mind control and being used as a asset here on planet Earth. And I think in possibly alternate timelines, I don't know, but I've gotten a little bit clearer. And as I'm preparing my presentation, I seem to be able to recall more, but okay. Yeah. So we're going to move to Olivia now, if it's okay.
Talking about it makes you remember more. And
yeah, I noticed that it's more as like I'm remembering, But, I just thought I was a drug addict out there, having fun with sex, drugs, and rock and roll. And I realized that there was a lot more going on than, what I thought. Okay, Miss Olivia, thank you for
Yes.
your patience.
Mhm.
If you don't mind, do you want to
Sure.
share a little bit? Yeah, I have a question. Hold on, because I made sure I had 2 questions for each of you just to.
Okay.
So the first one, Olivia, your experiences within the MILAB programs in your writings offer profound perspective on human experimentation and psychic warfare. How do you see these covert projects influencing humanity's collective consciousness today?
Heavy from what I know. And just like one of the most important things we're bringing out is Project Oblivion. And yes, it's targeting us, but it will eventually probably reach out into affect other people, because if we're gone, then the disclosure's gone, in terms of the SSP. If they're able to complete Project Oblivion the way they want to, there won't be any of us, to move forward with the movement. So I feel like that's going to have a heavy impact on the population without that. And I don't know, I feel like they'll kind of like regress in a way if they're not given that opportunity to, have some type of enlightening experience, just to see, just like the same thing for me. Like, if I wouldn't have, found the things I did, I wouldn't be this person now. I wouldn't be, who I am now. I wouldn't be, writing books and things like that. It just wouldn't have happened that way if I would have allowed myself to regress back into, that unawakening process, So I think it's really important for everyone to continue and to speak your truth, your personal truth. Nobody else had, like we were talking before, no one else has to believe you. Do I have, documentation that could back up parts of my story? Yes, I do, but I don't feel that it's necessary to give that to people. I don't feel like I need to do that, but I know I have it for myself because it validates myself for me. I don't look to validate it for anyone else. It's for me, and it's a personal truth and a personal journey and a personal experience. But I do want to say everyone is the expert in their own life. So the way you feel, that is true. Your beliefs are true. Your feelings are true, just the same for me. So we all have to take that, and try to work together, but also remain in your own individual autonomy and in the way you, believe in yourself above all, is what I think.
That was fantastic. I appreciate that. And I agree with everything you just
Thank
said.
you.
Thank you for that. Okay, so Miss Susan. Susan, your work through Divine Connections bridges energy healing and higher dimensional awareness. How has the SSP or MILAB remembrance shaped your understanding of energy frequency in the human light body?
Well, I do Gillespie approach, which is cranial sacral fascial therapy. And one of the things that I realized about 4 years ago was, even though they regen us, our fascia still holds the trauma. And I think they do that purposely to keep our vibe low so that we don't remember. Because the higher you can get your vibration, whether it's working out, doing yoga, meditating, you're going to remember more and keep your body clear. And I think they purposely do it to stop that, because a lot of my memories I have from, they were dreams, and then I'd see the person, and like Penny was saying, a lot of my remembrance, I'd see a face and well, it would be the outline of a face and their hair and the uniform, but I couldn't see the name, and the face was missing till I actually saw this person online and talked to them, and then I get a download of memories. Like I think there's 20 people now that I remember that I've spoken to, that I remember from Montauk and SSP. And I'm actually in Iowa now because I was looking for this husband of mine in SSP. And that's a whole nother story. But yeah, and then I've been doing the healing work for 15 years. Each every 2 years to renew my license, I've learned a new modality. So it's all trauma-based stuff. And I even do hypnotic regressions. And I'm a Reiki master teacher. But a lot of it's just healing the trauma, because even though I'm a healer, I'll start if you get the V2K and something sticks to you for a little while and you're like, this thing keeps cycling, like I'll go to one of my trusted healers and I can actually see her pulling off what it is that was sent to me, because I've had a lot of black magic attacks since I've been out here. I've also had a lot of memory recalls since I've been out here of you know, like from, this isn't funny, I don't know why I'm laughing, probably because I'm nervous. But I remember them taking my first child in a ritual when I was 14, and there's no way I would be pregnant at 14 because I wouldn't be having sex at 14. And two of the people are dead now, Thomas Stewart and his wife, but the other two people that were there, it's a politician and her assistant that ripped my baby apart and ate it over top me, and I passed out. They're still out there and they're politicians. So yeah, this stuff pisses me off. And
Oh,
I'm gonna get to writing my book sooner or later. But yeah, some of these memories really make you angry when you see these people that harmed you out here in 3D, enjoying their life.
yeah. So I remember that's what started the targeting for me, is when I start writing my book, because I had a full-blown Kundalini activation. I was fully lit up. Laura Eisenhower said, I've never seen cards fall like this before. You're pure light. Of course, I'm not that now because I've come back down. We don't get to stay up there, people. I tell people this all the time. People think unless you're, in a cave somewhere where you're not being affected by frequencies and targeted, it's unlikely that you will be able to stay in that higher state of consciousness. We can expand and have memory and use that for our own development and growth, but you go up and you have to come back down. You don't get to stay up there, or at least from my experience, I don't believe that we do. I think, but that's when the targeting happened, because things I was writing in the book were literally were manifesting in my life. So I think a lot of people, I would definitely encourage you to write that book, Susan, because I know you have a lot to share, and I want to finish my book, but so much has changed since
Yeah,
I
because
first start writing.
I have at least 20 contracts that I remember parts of it at this point. It's a lot of them sending me out to use psionic stuff to kill people.
Yeah.
So, and then my friends, Merlin thinks I'm Jean Grey, or who Jean Grey was based on, that character, because I do remember going super scion and like setting stuff on fire. It was pretty wild. But I don't talk about a lot of that stuff. I'll just put it in the book and you can all read it.
Yeah.
So,
Write your
pretty
book.
awful, pretty awful
I
stuff.
support anybody to write their book. Penny, are you going to write a book one day, Penny?
I have 3 at about 35 pages.
Wow. Okay, good job.
So
Well, Christy,
I'm
yeah.
aiming for about 200, and I had to take time off because I was so frazzled that what I wrote was so horrid nobody would want to read it.
Oh, I'm sure there's plenty of us that want to read it, Penny. There are. Yeah. Okay, so Miss Christy, well, she's an amazing. You're just pumping the books out like I don't know what, and I'm so proud of you. I share
Thank
them
you.
out. Your art is absolutely exceptional. I love it.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
you're welcome. Okay, Miss Christy. Christy, as a Karuna Reiki master and experiencer, how have energy healing modalities supported you in processing memories from MILAB or SSP experiences?
Well, the Karuna Reiki is compassionate healing, compassionate heart. That's what Karuna is. With it goes like deep into where the soul, where the trauma began. So those were the symbols that are given in the Karuna Reiki class. So that's helped me to it when the memory started coming out. Then those having the Karuna Reiki classes and the symbols already in my auric field, then that kind of it just smoothed it out, so it wasn't so harsh to look at. So I can look at all these terrible things, you know, even hearing people talk about it, and I can see it, what they're saying, and it doesn't affect me in that way. I guess maybe because I've healed myself with that, so I can help others. Even though I did have a session with Anne-Marie, she did the hypnosis session on before the conference, and I found George Bush Sr. in that, and he was still appearing, and I thought that, you know, I'd already just dismissed it because I wrote him a letter and everything like that in these other realities that I still see him. He's still coming in and picking me up and taking me in the car, and I'm still the same like 8-year-old, 8-year-old age. But so I seen him in the hypnosis session. He appeared and he said his name was Satan. You know, so he wanted to leave and go back into like this black goo. But we had like a dark angel that took his sword out, and then George Bush went into the sword. So after that, I noticed that I could start talking more. Like I felt more like the restraint, you know, or something like the pressing that was on me before, it kind of released a little bit at a time. So that's what that helped me a lot. Seeing him in there, and then Anne Marie helped me to, because I was scared as that, because turned like into the little girl with him, and so I was hiding behind her at first because I didn't want to face him, you know, because he's so frightening to me at that age. But she commanded, you know, and that, so she helped me. That was really powerful for me. And then so I just started after the conference, then I started writing, you know, and I wrote all my books, and it just kind of flowed through me, you know. So yeah, I wrote down all my 20 and back, and you know, so I have that documented, my 20 and back service. That's all George Bush Sr., you know. So he entered into each one of the time frames that I was taken to a new place throughout that whole 20 years. And then I even seen that he had taken me when I was 16 after the military base. Then, you know, he took me to Mars, to a cloning center, to work there on a cloning center. So that's what I see, and maybe that's like a clone aspect. Seems like it just is. She's still there working. You know, she's like kind of robotic, making clones and stuff. So yeah. So that's kind of helped me to see. But I woke up after the Karuna Reiki class that my whole mind just kind of opened up, and I started looking at like the super soldier stuff and light language and all this kind of stuff. So as soon as I seen George Bush Sr., he was my first thing, and it took me like a week to process. You know, because I watched that Kathy O'Brien, her testimony, and I really, it just shook my whole thinking up, you know, listening to her testimony. So I figured that was a good point to why look to focus on why I was seeing or feeling these things and these memories of him, you know, that I felt like a close connection, like fatherly connection. And so I started looking and asking other channelers too to see if they seen, just a double check to see if I wasn't like going crazy. What's going on here, you know? And so they said this confirmed it, you know. So so it's just been that kind of a healing with me with that, because he projected to me that he's like a fatherly figure, you know. So that's what I always kind of and still feel from him, you know. So must have like some family soul lineage from way back is what I found too. Like the not this bloodline, but another German, you know, because my mom's German. So yeah.
Well, that's interesting you say that, because the late great Max Spears, who has been my biggest, I won't say teacher, guide in remembering some of my own experiences. Like, everything that man shared, I absolutely resonate. Just about everything he shared, I resonated. It made sense. It's like when you have the frequency of truth within you and you are capable of tuning in. I tune into people's voices and I can pick up nodes in their voices by the frequency of their voice when they're talking, whether what I'm hearing is truthful or not. And the information he shared was absolutely mind-blowing, the remembering and so forth. And he said that he was also somehow connected to the Bushes. It was in with Carrie Cassidy, I think, and James Casbolt. And by the way, I'm having James Casbolt on tomorrow, and so, yeah, I'm excited to have him. But thank you.
And I'm born in 76 too, the same year as both of them.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I don't think so. I'm 57. I'll be 58. Or I just turned 57. Sorry. I'm remembering here. I forget my age sometimes.
Me too.
Yeah, I'll be 58 next year, but I think like my generation of people being used in the MILAB military or whatever abduction type stuff, I think it got like the programming and the use of the soldiers. I mean, I don't think anything's SSP. Like, I don't see myself as a super soldier. I don't think there's anything. And I appreciate what you said earlier, Penny, about the stuff that's being done for me. And I was told also that I went through 220 and back. I think everything I've done has been on this planet, other than they may have had me in alternate realities for training, because I remember diving off cliffs and other stuff. But that's just my own. I'm not saying, I mean, you guys just blow me away with the memory that you have. It's just, I just don't have as detailed memory. What I do have memory of, I do know. But anyways, there was a reason I was saying that. Oh, I think the age, like, I think the 70s and 80s, like maybe in Penny's time period of when she was born, they were doing a lot more. I think it was more like the Project Paperclip and all that kind of stuff was like more. Am I right, Penny, in saying that? Like, that was more common then?
They started off really harsh in me and Susan's generation. We were mind fractured through SRA techniques.
I remember Mangala being there. So I remember
Mangala wasn't in mine, but a man that might as well have been him was. And it was really harsh. We only had 2% survival rates. And the people who were paying for these said, you're losing too many of the kids, you're losing too many of the kids, you're losing too many of the kids. And so they finally figured out ways to make it gentler so there would be more survivors. And in the 70s, 80s, because I was mind fractured in 1959. So in the 70s, 80s, you're talking 20 years later, a whole generation of time to figure out another way to do this. And so they progressively got gentler, so more kids survived. And by the 90s, sometime in the 80s and 90s, that zone, they switched to virtual reality for this training. Now, there are people that age, notably Shane the Ruiner, who believe that this is the only way it was ever done because this was what they experienced. No, these programs do this and that. They don't do this or that. So what I remembered with the last round of altar reintegrations, because Drago Reed also initiated reintegration of 7 altars. And with that set, I remembered my navigator altar having to torture the new recruits because they were unable to bilocate. They were unable to go interdimensional and take physical objects with them. They were unable to do the tasks required of navigators. So I was having to, these are people that were already trained for everything, and I was having to torture them to teach them how to do the tasks necessary, because virtual reality doesn't work to train navigators. So this is a new memory. Well, I've been really quiet since the conference. I'm sure you all have noticed. It's because I reintegrated 7 new altars. I've had 5 murder attempts on me. I've just been having a really hard time. And this was one of the things. I'm having to deal with the memories of torturing my fellow assets so they can do their job, because the methods currently being used don't work. And they are having more survivors.
Wow.
But the people can't fly the ships. And it's putting me in a position of, you know, I don't want to be that perp. I don't want to be that person doing this. You know?
I think people can appreciate, Penny,
I
that,
don't want to live with that.
yeah,
You know?
I understand.
But I don't want children put in this program. That's the main reason I'm public, is I don't want this happening to any more kids.
Well, just real quick, and then we're going to go back to, because I had gotten 2 questions for each of you, and it looks like it's potentially that we're going to end up maybe going over a little bit, but we'll see how it goes. But I was listening to a young lady on Sean Atwood last night about the Epstein files and the women that were being taken to Mexico to be used for breeders, and that they were doing these hybridization and cloning centers there. And I often wonder if a lot of what's being remembered, I'm not saying everybody, I'm just putting it out there, but I often wonder if like a lot of these cloning centers are actually not off-world, but here on the planet, and those that have memory are possibly thinking it was off-world, but potentially it could be here in underground bases and so forth and so on, because it seems to be, they've been doing this since, I mean, I have a Pleiadian soul. I came in with the Anunnaki. I know I'm hybridized, if you want to call it that. I know exactly the soul I behold and who I am, my DNA, and so forth. And I'll be sharing about some things at the conference in the UK. But, I think that this stuff has been going on long. I mean, we know that, right? Enki was a master geneticist and
It's the last 100 years that humans have been doing this to each other.
The last 100 years?
Yeah. Well, by 1900 is when humans started doing this to each other. Before that, it was ETs doing it to us.
Okay. Thank you for that, Penny. I didn't know that. I appreciate that.
So they started the cloning maybe the 1890s, but by World War I, they had the technology pretty much perfected. By World War II, Hitler had an entire battalion of clones.
Wow.
And this was before they figured out how to make them grow faster. So these were actual people with souls. And that's one of the biggest issues I have, is clones are people. They are your identical twin de facto. They
Mhm.
have minds, they have souls, but this speed up process that they do to make a body an adult in under a week, their mind can't keep up. So you're dealing with an embryo mind in an adult body, and people are saying that it's a mindless, soulless, animal, but it's not. They are having us possess our identical twins.
Wow.
This is a spiritual crime of such outrageous proportions that I don't even know where to start dealing with it with my own shadow work. And,
okay? So yeah, I want to get through these second round of questions and then kind of open it up for all of us to just kind of maybe engage, and we'll just be mindful, of each other. Penny, I have, so as someone who has navigated deep layers of programming and manipulation, what insights can you share about breaking free from mind control and reclaiming personal sovereignty in this current timeline? Penny, if you don't mind.
oh gee. Insights, you just take it one step at a time, and consider it to be a dance where you're going 2 steps forward, 3 steps back.
No, I agree with that. I feel like that often, but yes.
Every time I think I've made progress, I get some sort of a new memory dump from a new altar, because I've been working on altars for the whole time. So I've reintegrated 45 altars. The memories come with the altars.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you reintegrate an altar, you get more memories, and sometimes they shift the entire polarity of what you think you knew. And as far as personal sovereignty, the deeper I go, the more aware that I am that they consider me a property, and that I'm enslaved, and that I have not had effective opposition to being taken. They get mad about what I'm doing in the here and now. I've been injured because I was speaking. I recently figured out that there's a 5,000 follower limit, that when you reach 5,000 followers, they shut you down.
Really?
Yeah. It's happened.
What about all those people that have got big followings and that have been sharing about this? Like, I don't want to mention names because I don't want to give them any airtime, because there's some people that I don't particularly,
pay attention to what they're saying.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going against the CIA's V2K narrative.
Well, that's exactly right. I feel like there's so many CIA assets out there on YouTube land and other
platforms. Most of them are totally ignorant that that's what they are, because they're hearing V2K and they think they're channeling and they think it's the truth, and they won't wear an EMF blocker cap. I wear one when I'm not on air.
What about that guy that you posted yesterday that said that he realized that he was being channeled? Yeah, I need to get one of those. Can you send me the link for that, by the way? I'd love to order one.
This is the one that Amaria gave me, and it's from Higher Mountains.
Okay, I'll have to look that up. Okay, let's move
at the conference, I was being shot with dew, and I'm standing there and I'm holding my neck because that's where they were shooting me. And she comes up and just plops it on my head. And at the end of the conference, I said, you want this back? And she says, no, keep it. And I'm like, oh, thank God.
That's lovely. Amara's pretty awesome. Yes. I didn't get to talk with her too much because I was too busy running around, but yeah, I appreciate her. Okay, Miss Olivia.
Yes.
Can I ask you your second question?
Sure.
You've also explored the spiritual side of trauma recovery. What practices or inner realizations have helped you transform pain helped you transform pain into empowerment and reconnect with your divine essence?
I want to say the biggest change, discovery, and rediscovery is the level of shadow work, and definitely reaching back into my own history, however far back I could take it, and to become comfortable with not have with without the fact that I always wasn't a light person. I didn't start as a light worker or anything like that. So the realization that I had kind of like that inner world of dark and light, darkness and light inside me, it really did give me a huge amount of freedom. I don't feel like I have to lie about who I am. I put it straight out there in the books. This is what I was. This is what I did. This is what I was made to do. I was forced to do this at some points. I don't always know if, especially in the programs, I didn't really have the freedom to say no. But that didn't negate the fact that in the past and past lives that I had done things wrong, that people would say is wrong. But I really feel like that has given me a lot of freedom using my own abilities to, look through my past lives, look through my own behaviors, and to take accountability for who I used to be or what I've done before. And, my own father, he's the one that really pushed me and told me that I need to get out here and tell everybody what they did and what they made us do. I'm always going to be his daughter, no matter what happened between us. And it's his spirit and his guidance that told me to start doing this and to start speaking. And from where he watches us, wherever dimension he is in now, they're very excited, he says, and that for us to keep going and all the hard work we're doing, and it's not going unnoticed, that there's beings out there watching us, and he's just one of them. He's not here anymore. He's passed away a long time ago, but he still hovers anytime I need him, and he's always, I still feel like he has that push to tell me to, do things that he couldn't do, like take accountability and to, tell people. He couldn't tell people about what happened to him. He took everything to the grave. He couldn't tell people about his interactions with, 3-letter agencies and what he had done. He didn't have the opportunity to do that. And now he guides me to do that for him and to tell people what they did and what they made us do. So a lot of these interactions that I have with all these different beings, all the things that I'm able to talk about, it's just opened me up more to that balance, like it's inside me, that world I created inside me, where it is that balance. And I feel the most free that way.
Thank you, Olivia. I love listening to all of you ladies. You're all just amazing, honestly. Thank you for that. I had Olivia on my show a couple times now, and I always felt that my father had something to do with my being used in the projects and programs as well. And when I heard her speak about her father, like you, Penny, it raised I'm like, okay, I've always felt my father had some involvement or something. And actually the night that I went to go ask my aunt about how my father got here from Palestine and how he was able to move the entire family here when he had gotten into some legal problems in the Middle East, you don't steal firearms from the military and get to leave the Palestine and come to America, and everything is. And that night is the night that the jinn showed up in my house underneath the chandelier. They followed me to my aunt's and they abducted me at the bus stop. And then the boys came into my house that night, walked through the walls, and I stood out of my body and got up and said, "What the F are you doing in my house? Get the F out." And they ran through the walls, and I walked to the window and looked out the window, and I saw them running across the road. So evidently there was something they didn't want me to find out from my aunt, and they were curious to try and extract that information from me that night. But anyways, that's going to be part of my presentation. It's pretty fascinating. Okay, Miss Christy, or no, Susan, you're next. I got a question for you. Hi, beautiful Susan. Are you there?
Yes, I'm
Okay.
here.
Many experiencers talk about the role of the divine feminine in healing planetary trauma. From your own journey, how does the rise of feminine consciousness help dismantle these control structures?
Shoot. Well, I kind of feel like I was also sent out here to put my hands on as many people as possible to unwind trauma off of them. And it's time for me to go because I've been here almost 6 years. And I think we kind of, we get sent different places. I'm also getting a pull towards the Carolinas that I'd like to go out there, and but not back home. So I think the next 20 years I'm going to be doing a lot of traveling, and I'm going to have to go to places where I'm called and put hands on people and do a lot of writing because I have to write about all the crazy stuff I saw while I was a police officer and the weird spiritual stuff that was going on. So that I could see and other people couldn't.
Okay. But okay, so I guess the second part of the question was the rise of the feminine consciousness. How does it help dismantle the control structure? Control structure. Sorry, my tongue.
Well, men aren't doing a very good job at it.
No, they're not.
They
That's correct.
call us emotional.
I think more of us women need to come together. It's not about feminism. It's about saying, no, keep your hands off our babies and our children. And we need to go back to the grassroots of understanding how to grow food, build, community, and come together and support one another. And that's what I'm here to do.
That was one of the things I thought was kind of weird when I was a police officer and detective was why didn't some of these mothers kill these people that did things to their children? I mean, I only saw like one or two, like one lady pushed the guy off the balcony, and I made sure she got out of those charges because he deserved what he got. And then we charged her with the rape charges on her daughter. But and I was really proud of what she did.
Well, I mean, that's wonderful to hear, Susan, but that the courts protect so many of these pedophiles and
I know they
people
do.
end up back out on the streets to be able to continue doing harm.
We need more divine feminine in law enforcement. We need more of them as prosecutors. We need more of them in the, legal aid because there's not that many of us. Because I went out there in the 90s because I got attacked and I thought the male officers didn't take my case seriously. And I'm like, F this. I know I can do a better job. I'm going to go out and protect these women and children. So I did, and I made detective in 2.5 years, but I used my psychic abilities because I was having the precog things. I just go in a room and I'm like, if I was the bad guy, where would I put something? And I just know where it was. And we just need more women in places, and we need to gather because we're holding a higher frequency. I hate to say this, but then a lot of these men, because I worked with a lot of good men. I know there's good men out there, but it seems like especially out here, there's just so many bad men and pedophiles and all this other stuff.
Well, not just men. There's women that are pedophiles and doing stuff. Not to talk over you. I apologize. I was trying to respond.
Yeah.
There's men and women that are perpetrators and doing harmful and hurtful things to children, animals, satanic ritual abuses, and so many people. Like, it's from a higher perspective, I have a lot of compassion knowing that they too have been abused and a lot of times become an abuser themselves. That doesn't condone. I was abused and I've never harmed a child, and I never would.
But
right?
it's usually men abusing the little boys, It's not so much women, it's men abusing the little boys too. And that just, 1 in 16 rapes, female rape gets reported. So it brings even more shame if you're a male that's raped by a male, because you don't want people to think you're gay because you've been raped by a man, and there's a whole lot of stigma going on.
And there's stigma
So
around that because a lot of them are walking around.
I would report it.
A lot of them are walking around. There's a lot of people in this community, and I will say this, and I can pick up very easily when I'm dealing with somebody that's challenged with their own sexuality, right? And most of them have so much shame and guilt pent up inside them that it makes it very difficult for them to truly heal, because they put on this mask of being something they're not, because of feeling shame and guilt for what, I mean, if you've ever listened to James Bartley, when he first started coming out, I mean, he did a huge lecture at a university about being men being sexually assaulted by Draco reptilians in their sleep time, or while they're having sex with their partner, and they would feel something going inside their back parts, and then confusing them, putting pictures of their mother in their head, and then they're getting this distortion of, who and what they're attracted to. I mean, this stuff is
actually,
crazy.
I was witness to some of that stuff with the partner I was here. It was traumatic to have sex with him because I would see visions of men behind him. I'm not even going to go there, but it happened quite often, and he would always tell me that was from the programs, and it wasn't. So yeah.
Okay, Christy, I got a second question for you, if that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
You often speak about reclaiming divine purpose after deep trauma. What message do you have for others awakening to hidden aspects of their soul history, and how can they begin their own path of remembrance and integration?
I think it's all in raising your frequency, and that can be through doing healing with whatever, if it's Reiki or sound therapy, though probably many different ways to do your healing inner work, and maybe meditation, maybe journaling. Just it's like an onion with layers of if dealing with trauma, so writing about it, and then so it's like the dark night of the soul in a way. So facing that, and so all that shadow work, and then questioning things for yourself. So it's really just doing a lot of the inner work by yourself, kind of getting time by yourself more. If it is journaling, or if it's writing on the computer, or voicing it, however you can, so you don't forget, or drawing pictures, that kind of helps too. But also doing doing massages, getting massages, and that kind of works it out. Doing Reiki sessions, or taking a healing class. So there's many different ways of trying to get that out. So with me, it was with the Karuna Reiki class, but I started with Reiki and went up from 2011 till 2013. So it was slowly working its way out, and then when it finally opened up everything, then I was prepared really to see it. So Reiki doesn't necessarily work for everybody. It can be your own way of what works for you. So did that answer the question?
Yeah, I really, really love you, Christy. I
Oh,
love
love you
all.
too.
Yes, you guys are so. I was listening to you, but my mind kind of drifts off, and I'm like, I'm so proud of myself that I've been able to sit here still. Right? You guys have kept my attention enough for me to be able to be. I mean, I know I rock a little bit. That part of
Me
that
too.
has to do with a little bit of, but this is just. I've enjoyed every moment of sharing this time with you, ladies. I want to give time. So we're about at an hour and 15 minutes. I want to give time for each of you to maybe share anything that's on your heart, or anything that you can, any positive guidance that you can give to women in particular, because today we're talking about women and being used in these projects and programs and the SSP and so forth. So Penny maybe for 5 minutes, and then we'll move to Olivia, Christy, and Susan, and then I'll give y'all. And also, when you're finished, just share a little bit about where people can find you and so forth, and then we'll. Yep. Thank you, ma'am.
Because of the topics we brought up, I want to point out that these primarily male Illuminati groups, and there's at least 30 of them. They have different names. Very rarely do they call themselves Illuminati, but we know the groups. They all start their ceremonies with something they called cremation of care. Care is the divine feminine. They are literally
I didn't know that.
To kill the divine feminine with every ceremony they have.
Wow. I didn't know that, Penny.
We are that important that they have to try to stop us every ceremony. So you have to hold that space in your heart, open up to your feminine caring, because that's the one that they're particularly attacking. Whether you care about others, that compassion to help children, to help each other. And because the sexual aspect was brought up, I want to state, in these programs, everybody's raped. Over and 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 over. Everybody. Boys, girls, men, women, everybody. And the men are most embarrassed about talking about it because of the social stigma. We also are put into bodies of the opposite gender. You live an entire lifetime as the opposite gender. You come back here, you're back in your original body. Yeah, there's going to be confusion.
Sure. That makes sense. I never thought of that, Penny. That makes sense. Yeah.
And because most of disclosure is conservative, it makes it even harder. The few people who have come forward and talked about it have been raked over the coals.
Yeah.
And this is wrong. You need to start thinking about what was done to us, what we're going to talk about. And something that needs to be reminded. Every single one of us has a sex kitchen altar, at least one. I know I have at least 5. So when someone in our community is suddenly going sex crazy, you can assume their sex kitten altar came forward. So when this behavior comes up, instead of going, we just isolate it. Yes, we know you have a sex kitten altar. Yes, we know you're going to do this. Yes, we're going to basically ignore the shit because they can't help it. I've seen perfectly good whistleblowers have a sex kitten altar pop up, and it has destroyed them.
Yeah, I'm aware of a few. Yeah.
And some have been people I've interviewed regularly.
Yeah.
And it's destroyed their entire lives. And this is not something we should be gasping and making fun of them and going,
that's right.
This is something we should understand. This is part of the process. Anytime you start making progress, you're going to have an altar pop up that's going to throw a monkey wrench, because Project Oblivion, that Olivia writes about, has control over our altars. By all they have to do is send you the change word or sound or photo through V2K. They don't even have to contact you in person. Just send it over the Wi-Fi, and you switch out, and you have no control over it. And people need to understand.
You're now making me think about, Penny, because after I had my full-blown Kundalini, I feel like they tapped into my base chakra, and I don't know. I know my first handler tried to activate me back into, but I became, they even left a freaking leopard skin lingerie in front of my condo door, letting me know, which is a total sign of being used as a sex slave. And
have
many partners. Yeah.
We all have one of those.
Yeah.
At least
I've been celibate since then by choice. I will not participate in the nonsense, but I don't judge people either. I understand.
That's what I'm saying is they don't have control. I'm not sitting in judgment of them. I do get upset with people who go from partner to partner to partner to partner and are basically destroying lives.
Yeah.
Those people do upset me.
Mm-hmm.
But I understand the sex altar. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We'll come back and after everybody shares a little bit, and then everybody will tell where people can find you. Although I did add everybody's links into the comment section, so be sure to reference that if there's anyone in particular you're interested. We have 15 live. Welcome everybody. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. I'm hoping to get 1,000 subscribers by the end of the month, if that's possible. Okay, Olivia, you want to share a little bit before we start to wind things down a little bit? And
I just feel like, I have a big feeling that the disclosure movement is going to be picked up by women. In my opinion, I feel like it's going to start to be women-led, but we do, obviously we want to partner with males, but I feel like moving forward, it's going to be picked up by women for some reason. I just have that feeling. And I just want to say that for a lot of my life, I dissociated my entire life away before I was awakened. I pushed my emotions so far down, and not just by choice, by trauma, by programming, mind control, MK Ultra, Monarch, everything they did, pushed my emotions so far down. I wasn't who I am now. And I just want to say, I want to bring my heart back into the disclosure movement. I don't want to leave my heart out, and I don't want to, pretend that I'm some really, heartless warrior. That I feel like the real warriors are going to bring their heart to this movement. And I feel like that's what I want to tell people and show people, is that you can keep your emotions. And I feel like our emotions are so important especially now that I've gotten my emotions back. I would never want to see them, pushed, hidden again from me. So I feel like it's so important for us to remember to bring our heart to this. And I want to continue to speak like that and to write like that with a lot of heart in it, not just heart and emotion, and not just plainly given info. I want to make sure that I'm bringing my heart to it.
Thank you, Olivia. I think you're amazing. You're doing great. Yeah, I appreciate you. Okay, Miss Christy, do you have anything you want?
Yeah, I just wrote some light language. Well, this
nice.
is gonna be the message. If y'all can see that.
That's
can
pretty
you see
powerful.
it clearly?
Yeah. So what does it say? Can you help us understand?
It's in the frequencies, and it feels more of a love message, like a love message, love and compassion, healing. So this is like the codes, and so it just goes in. Light language just goes into your DNA, or you have it's more felt. It's like the frequencies of it, so it's kind of gentle floating. That's how it feels. These codes do, because it's like Feels like Pleiadian, Syrian too. I'll hold it back up so you can see. Feels so that's how I read it. It's the frequency, and it's not like go to the store and get some milk. You know, it's not like that. It's frequency. Fire,
I
like
feel a
fire
little
codes.
tingling in my hands. I don't know if that's what I'm experiencing, but
Yeah.
I appreciate you sharing that with us.
Yeah. Yeah, so I do these all the time. This is just something that's naturally gifted to me too, you know.
Yeah. Okay. Miss Susan, do you want to share anything before we wind things up? And thank you everyone
I
that's
was just
joined us.
I was just thinking the targeting started at 14, and then when Christy brought up the Reiki, because I'm an Osui and Holy Fire Reiki Master teacher, I was thinking it was 2010 when I took my first Reiki class, and each time you take some kind of energy healing, you're going to raise your vibration, but it's also going to open your third eye more, and so you're going to see more for people that feel blocked. And I take lots of salt baths during the week. But I'm a Pisces, so I like to be in the salt. And yeah, the sex kitten altars, I've seen those pop out on people, and I feel bad. I'm not, DM, hey, your sex kitten altar is really showing its, come forward or whatever. But yeah, sometimes I've seen that happen to a couple people, and I feel bad, and just try to hold space and not judge them because they got to get it under control and reintegrate it themselves. But it is hard to watch sometimes. But keep doing your work, your any kind of mindfulness practice that you have. And I haven't been able to paint, and I need to because I need to paint all the stuff I've been seeing since I've been out here the last 5 years. And I'm not talking about the stuff through my whole life. It's just a lot of other things so I can get my books written. And also doing artworks therapy. You want to go horseback riding, that's therapy. I really like doing Reiki with animals too, that's therapy. Anytime you are working healing other people, you're going to heal yourself by proxy, and that's not why I do it, but it will help heal you. And that should help with reintegration.
Well, it just goes to show we're all connected as much as we believe that we're separate. And, I often remind myself that, the polarities of what is the most evil to the most loving, right? And if I could just stay in a neutral perspective and rather than go into judgment, I get to decide myself who I want to engage with and who I invite into my field. And I hold a lot of loving, healing, nurturing energy for especially the women, but I'm this way towards everybody. But I'm also a very direct, like I'm a Leo and I'm an Aquarius rising and moon. I was born on a full moon in Aquarius. I have a huge heart. I want to help people. And I do. I will overextend myself. If I know that you're really in need, I will go out of my way always and make myself available to people. But I've become more selective at this point in my journey, realizing that, some people are not, they're just not there yet. And I had to correct myself and do some shadow work, realizing who am I to decide when somebody's supposed to wake up or how much they're able to hear or not hear? Because if you're talking to somebody that absolutely has no, it's like I went through that with my family. My family thought I was losing my effing mind. And I was very aggressive towards them and angry because I just felt like, how could you not see what's going on? But they had not had the experience that I had. They had not had the Kundalini awakening, whatever, all the things. And I had to do a lot of shadow work for years behind that and realizing that I don't have a right to decide when what somebody should know or not know and what they should do with themselves, I guess is what I'm trying to say, right? Because this is just a process. You never arrive. I say that often. we can unlayer and something else will come along. And like what Penny was saying, where having regression and another part of altars, integrating those altars, she had another memory of something. So I guess really what I'm trying to say is that we need to have more compassion and grace. Doesn't mean, if you're my true friend, you're going to say, hey, Ida, I think you're full of shit and you need some help, right? Nobody's ever said that to me because I'm so wide open about all my stuff, and I don't consider myself to be full of shit about anything because I'm just so open. I mean, I think part of that comes from being in drug rehabs where we were forced to talk about everything that was going on with us. You couldn't have a secret in your mind if you wanted to because you were constantly being, but I've always been a very forthright, upfront, direct person. But I've learned to soften myself a bit and really be more of a nurturing and loving, where I want people to know that they're safe with me, right? And that I do care. And I guess my whole point in saying all of that is that we need, us as women, especially in this community, we need to step up in a way that says, okay, we don't need to hold your hand anymore, and we need to step up and really be authorities in our own life and come together and really, I don't know, do more shows like this, or maybe I've considered having a all women super soldier conference, right? Please understand, everybody that's listening, and ladies, I love the men. I don't have anything, I'm not a man hater by no means. I don't hate anybody in this community. I don't hold hate in my heart in any way, shape, or form. Even those that have done the most horrid things to me, I've never wished bad upon anyone. It's just not who I am. But I think that because even in this community is male dominated, and it's still being, I think we need to get to a place where we can walk side by side rather than be in a position where our voices are being shut down, or people are not maybe as interested in hearing the women's experiences. I mean, there's some out there, but if you take a look, I don't know, unless I'm wrong, it's primarily men that are running these conferences and the bigger presenters and so forth. You don't see too many women come, and I'm going to make a difference in that. And you ladies remember me saying that, because I'm going to figure out a way that we can, And I appreciate each and every one of you. I want you to know that I love you. I support you. If there's anything I can do, you can send me a message on Messenger or whatever. I would love to have each one of you come back for a part 2, where maybe we can get more in depth about some of the projects. Or if you guys have any ideas, please leave in the chat any ideas of topics that you would like to hear these ladies talk about. And maybe we'll see if we can invite a couple more women. Penny said that she's got a couple that she's recommending. But I think this was a fantastic show today. And I think what was needed to be said, or, what was naturally and organically meant to be said, was said. And I appreciate each one of you. Now, Penny, will you let people know where they can find you? And then Olivia, Christy, and then Susan, and then we'll close the show. And thank you, everybody watching. Please subscribe, like, share, invite others to join us. Yeah, go ahead, Penny.
I'm on Facebook and X for social media. I still have my channel on YouTube, but YouTube won't let me upload anything more. I moved my new work to Odyssey almost 4 years ago, and because YouTube was starting to delete my videos one every couple of months. Not enough to shut down my whole channel, but enough that I knew the writing was on the wall. So I moved to a blockchain platform, which is Odyssey, ODYSEE. My folks on Patreon are paying for the Rumble, which I've got it as a archive for the work on YouTube that they're wanting to delete it, so I don't want those shows to be lost, those recordings. I have a Substack, but it's not disclosure movement. It's that tutor that I talked about. For 15 years, he taught me what I missed going to public school. And about a year ago, he gave me a bunch of files from a website, from a law firm's website that had been taken down. And he asked me to upload all of those files to the Substack. And I've been doing about one a month. And there's other things in it I share from Olivia James's Substack there. So I mentioned Odyssey, Rumble, Patreon, Substack. That covers it. There is a website in the works, but it appears that it's going to be just a landing place with links to my videos.
Yeah, that's fantastic, Penny.
I didn't have the money to have anything bigger.
Well, I think that's sufficient, and make sure that when you do that, send it to me so I can share it out. But I'm sure I follow your stuff on Facebook and all of that, so I'll see it. Okay, Miss Olivia, can you let people know where they can find you, please?
Yeah, Facebook and X, and then I have a lot of my writing on Substack that I do, and I have 2 books on Amazon, and then I make videos. So and all the videos are usually just excerpts from my books in case somebody's not a reader. You can find those on YouTube and my Facebook too.
And your YouTube channel is called
Gray Mouse Chronicles.
There we are. Thank you.
Thank you.
Christy?
Okay, so I'm on Facebook and YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Substack, and I have a Patreon. My email is christy.campbell.11@gmail.com. And then you can find all my books here that I wrote of Electra, and then all my 16 art books too that I have. And then I'm adding one about the hybrid children, and then the alien abduction. That one was published last night. That's all on Amazon. You can find it under my name, Christy Campbell, and that's all on Amazon.
You are just amazing. I am so fascinated by all these. I mean, you've just been putting them out, and I'm so happy for you.
Yes, getting it out there to help people, because they question things. They question, was I abducted in childhood? And then the books and pictures can kind of help. If you see a picture, like it can trigger memory or make you feel not alone too. Like there's somebody else that had this happen. So I'm not alone, so things like that, so people don't feel alone.
Yeah. Thank you, Chrissy. Okay. And Susan?
I'm at it's all lowercase, Divine Connections with Susan.com. My SSP page is private on Facebook. It's the Phoenix on Facebook, IG. I have my SSP podcast I've been in on YouTube. That one's public. And IG, right? I think that's it.
Okay. Well, and everybody, please go to Cosmic Brew Facebook page. Please follow. This video will be there. Also, I post other people's content. I've posted probably something from each one of these ladies. I mean, you can find different and other content creators. I put their videos on there. People can choose, maybe you'll see something that you find interesting. You want to follow other content creators like these ladies and others. Each one of you, I want to say thank you so much for coming on. Are we in agreement to do a part 2? And we'll maybe invite a few other ladies?
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
Yeah,
Okay.
well,
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I will, I'm sorry.
Sounds good.
Okay. Thank you, Penny. Olivia, are you in agreement? You want to come back and hang out with us?
Sure.
Okay. Christy and Susan. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Mhm.
So we'll discuss a part 2 maybe after the holidays sometime, or yeah, we'll see. I'll figure out a date and see, maybe even, well, yeah, I think November's going to be too soon, and then I'm going to be going to the UK in December, but maybe we'll come up with a date in between, somewhere before the end of the year, and figure out a good date for all of us. And I definitely want to have you ladies back on. Thank you for taking the time to come on and share your expertise and your authentic, genuine selves with all of us. I appreciate you. I love you guys and you ladies. Thank you everyone for watching, and have a fantastic day.
Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye. Let me get to the closing.
Okay.